Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 18th of September, comes to you from London. We start by looking at the dollar index, and the dollar just pulling back to a little bit bearish here below the cloud. Of course, still medium-term and long-term bearish. The dollar just pulling back, and of course that means normally, as we'd expect, the euro just pulling forward. So euro dollar heading back into bullish territory, but not so clear cut. But the medium and long-term chart still looking good. Japanese yen. Dollar rising quite strongly here, so the weaker yen is the theme. Medium term, we've still got work to do, but we are just seeing that dollar yen changing, and so we may be just seeing a turning point here for the dollar against the yen. Sterling rocketed against the dollar last week, really big move, and we're now just testing this key level on the cloud. Can we break through and hold that for a few weeks to be seeing sterling turning into bullish mode? None of these downside targets, the long-term targets, taken away from us, so it's not clear yet that that's the turning point for sterling. And looking against the euro again, we see a strong relationship here, but long-term bearish, just medium-term is starting to test the cloud resistance, and of course the short-term is looking pretty bullish. An absence of short-term targets, no real clear buying thrust, so that just does make me cautious on any concerted move for sterling. The same against the Swiss franc. And against the Australian dollar, we still have short-term, medium-term downside targets hanging over us. So it's just too early to say that sterling has bottomed. Looking at the S&P 500 index, just ticking higher on Friday, making new all-time highs. So that's of course good. The U.S. stock market, broad market, looking pretty good. Nasdaq not quite managing to make new highs in the week, and the Dow actually soaring ahead as well, making new all-time highs. The Russell 2000 still has work to do to get there, but is looking very bullish again. And the future this morning up 0.25%, we're seeing that, and the Nasdaq E-mini just up 0.14%. So tech's just underperforming a bit at the moment. FTSE 100 up this morning, but really big falls on Friday, breaking down support here. So FTSE is now looking bearish medium term very clearly. So we've broken through support, not looking good, and we have downside targets of around 2.2% on the medium term, 5%. So although we still have long-term upside targets, it does suggest FTSE will fall before it rises. And the FTSE 250, the sell-off there, much the same. Stronger sterling, of course, having a big effect on company earnings, which is filtering through to the market. The DAX looking stronger, just coming back to test through this key level here on the cloud. Nikkei also looking bullish last week, just again making new highs on that weaker yen. Hang Seng up over 1.2%, so that's looking bullish, making new highs in the medium term chart. So the Chinese market also looking good, the local market just holding on. A bit sideways for the last several weeks, but still looking pretty good as it emerges into a long-term bull trend. The Sensex, the India market, looking very bullish, gunning for new highs there as well. Australian market is just very much still in the doldrums on the medium-term chart. Brent crude is running, still continuing to rise. And at $55 there on Brent crude, and WTI are back above the $50 level, psychologically important, just starting to make multi-week highs here. So that's quite key as well. So crude oil looking quite good. A shortage of short-term upside targets, but we are seeing medium-term upside targets of around 10%. US Natgas holding above the $3 level, so that's also looking good. And copper still just continuing its short-term sell-off. We're seeing that after an amazing run, so we shouldn't be too surprised there. If we go straight to the gold chart, gold selling off quite significantly on that strong, weaker dollar on Friday, so we are just seeing stronger dollar, gold just falling away here, and we are just seeing here downside potential of 1267. But if we look at the chart here, we see we've still got these upside targets of 1366, 1367, and as high as 14. We'd need to move below the 1300 level to start unwinding that first target, and the next target we need to move below 1280 to unwind that one. So we're still, although we're short-term bearish on the cloud chart, we still are bullish medium and long term. We're just pulling back on gold. And on silver, much the same picture, some downside targets of about 1.3%, hitting some medium-term resistance, but again looking bullish in the medium term. Taking a look at US Treasury yields sitting at 2.21%, all eyes on the Fed this week. Will we see a further rise in interest rates in the US? Apple starting to recover a bit, still a little bit in the doldrums here, but was up on Friday, but has work to do to get back into bullish territory. Google also just back into that bearish mode, so Google is also a little bit of a worry, and Amazon holding its bull trend. Facebook also just pulling back a little bit, and Microsoft pulling back too. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.